सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु। सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्।
Good evening to all the participants. Please confirm my audibility and visuals.
Yes, Dr. Srinivas, you are audible.
Yeah. Good evening and welcome, ma'am. First of all, I would like to welcome all the participants for this two-day national level lecture workshop on recent trends in life science amidst COVID-19 pandemic and insight into innovations. I would like to give a brief note on why innovations, because innovations are the foundations for the future world, which can bring our future generation into development and constant evolution. With that few points, I would now like to invite Ms. M. Grishma, the Assistant Professor of the Department of Microbiology, to welcome the gathering with a formal note of welcome address. Ma'am, please.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
So, good evening, all. And it is a glorious moment to extend my warm wishes on behalf of the Department of Microbiology, Ratnam College of Arts and Science, for this two-day national level lecture workshop. And we have assembled here to know more about this topic with our eminent speaker. So, first of all, I want to convey my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Alka Pandey, guest lecturer and MHRD certified RBPT teacher for STEM, Institute of Renewable Energy Technology and Management, Ravishankar Shukla University, Raipur, for accepting the invitation and presiding over this lecture workshop on recent trends in life science amidst COVID-19 pandemic and insight into innovation. So, welcome, ma'am. So, with this brief background, I would welcome all delegate, external and internal members to participate and present their views on the very topic. I want to also welcome our participants who have come up here from all across the country to attend this workshop. And I also feel honored to welcome all my fellow colleagues for taking a keen part in this important program. And I'm sure that you all feel engaged with our knowledge after the completion of this event. And I welcome you all once again to the workshop and hope that you all will have a great time ahead. Thank you all.
So,
Thank you, Grishma ma'am. Before our guest speaker is about to address us, let me give a brief introduction about her. Dr. Alka Pandey, as already noted by Grishma ma'am, is a guest lecturer and MHRD certified RBPT teacher for STEM and the Institute of Renewable Energy Technology and Management, School of Studies in Environmental Science, Pandit Ravishankar Shukla University, Raipur and Chhattisgarh. She had her education in BSc in Biology and MSc in Bioscience from Rani Durgavati University, Jabalpur, and she completed her PhD in Bioscience at the same university. And she has a lot of research and teaching experience. Notably, she has been involved in a lot of projects, national level projects as junior research fellow and senior research fellow. And she has attended a lot of workshops and conferences and also trained faculties and faculties in teaching as well as doing research. And she is notably handling the techniques, that's especially in the RBPT workshops funded by DBT, DST funding agencies, which belongs to Government of India, and also has conducted many programs under ASCR, Pune, MHRD, and she has contributed successfully to a lot of training workshops for the faculties. So with that brief introduction, she has also contributed in many aspects. And for your note, dear participants, please note that a guest speaker has enormous experience in teaching, learning, and as well as in research. And she is an environmentalist, which I believe we would understand after her lecture. So with this note, I now wholeheartedly welcome our guest speaker to deliver the special address on the 2 days, day one of the 2 days virtual lecture workshop. Ma'am, please, the dais is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Srinivasan and Grishma. I believe I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Thank you so much for all your kind words. I'll proceed right now. Good afternoon to all of you. I want to share the screen and let me know whether you're able to see what I'm showing.
Sure.
Yeah. So are you able to see the first slide?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Okay, fine. So may I start now? Am I audible properly?
Yes, ma'am. Just click on the presenter's view so that we can see the full screen. The third icon, the icon next to the search symbol on the top.
So we have to go to settings.
No, ma'am. At the top.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Yeah, now it's.
Oh, yeah, fine. Okay. So good afternoon to the highly intellectuals, academicians, educationists, scientists, and future building force of our nation. I'm highly honored to be present in this August Assembly of the people who truly cares for the present and future of our ever-evolving society. So when Dr. Srinivasan, head microbiology, Ratnam College, Coimbatore, asked me to address all of you, I hardly had enough time to work upon my presentation. Today, I am supposed to make an effort to discuss the recent trends in life science amidst COVID-19 pandemic and insight into innovation. Well, let us reflect together. Are we looking for just advancements or conscious advancements at the core of human life? After all, whatever we do, what action we humans take, it should have a positive impact on us and our environment. At the same time, I would like to hear and learn from all of you, as this is the time we must all collaborate. Today is the time to watch and reflect with which path we must move ahead for the larger benefits of humanity. So coming to the next slide, yes, it gives us a brief account of what impact COVID had on a human and economy. So amid the new normal behavior surrounding COVID-19 instituted an abrupt transition from traditional face-to-face to remote and isolated transaction and process within the industry. Life sciences companies are forced to create new ways to continue business and bridge gaps created by pandemic-enforced distancing. This new year, the industry is in a road to recovery and creating more possibilities, seeking more ways to turn the pandemic challenge into opportunities. Now, more than ever, companies are becoming more aware of the value of preparedness and the intrinsic role and the importance of technology in responding to crisis. But do we really know what we want? So yes, it shows that we have actually performed under pressure. People and organizations are capable of tremendous growth under pressure. And that gives us the strength of our mental resilience. So without pressure, there is no pain, and hence there can be no gain. Now, are we looking at the situation around us? Are we looking at growth in terms of technological revolution or in terms of mental resilience? May I know, what do you all think? Can anyone just respond? Like, what do you aim at? Are we looking at the growth in terms of technological revolution or in terms of mental resilience? Anyone? Well, yes, it's both. On one side, students need to acquire skills to be equipped to face new challenges of fourth stage revolution of 21st century, driven by artificial intelligence, robotics, nanotechnology, and the like, focus of which lies on large-scale automation. On the other hand, mental resilience and human awareness for the environment has to grow for applying the technologies efficiently. Now, moving on to the slide, may I know you, do you know this person? Who is he? So he is none other than Yuval Noah Harari, the leading global thinker and the greatest historian of the present time, who says humankind is now facing a global crisis, perhaps the biggest crisis of our generation. The decisions people and government take in the next few weeks will probably shape the world for years to come. They will shape not just our healthcare system, but our economy, politics, and culture. We must act quickly and decisively. We should also take into account the long-term consequences of our action. When choosing between alternatives, we should ask ourselves not only how to overcome the immediate threat, but also what kind of world we will inhabit once the storm passes. Yes, the storm will pass. Humankind will survive. Most of us will still be alive, but we will still inhabit a different world. Today, for the first time in human history, technology makes it possible to monitor everyone all the time. By closely monitoring people's smartphones, making use of hundreds of millions of face recognizing cameras, and obliging people to check and report their body temperature and medical condition, the Chinese authorities can not only quickly identify suspected coronavirus carriers, but also track their movements and identify anyone they came into contact with. A range of mobile apps warn citizens about their proximity to infected patients. We have delegated the access or the ability to the technology in near future when we may not have any choices left. At present, most of the data that is being collected on human is still from the skin outwards, because at present, whether it's Google, Facebook, or Amazon, whether it's the government, all try to understand us mainly on the basis of what we search. It's all external. The real big revolution is yet to come, when the AI revolution and machine learning merges with biotechnology and find its way under our human skin. People talk about artificial intelligence everywhere, but the real important thing is actually the other side, that is the biotechnology. It's only with the help of biology that artificial intelligence becomes really revolutionary. Even to put a self-driving car on the road, we need biology, not just computer. We need to understand human. For example, if somebody is approaching the road, the car needs to tell if this 8-year-old and 18-year-old or 80-year-old, and needs to understand the different behavior of a human child, human teenager, and human adult. When we are marching ahead to the peak of fourth stage revolution, we need to have a very, very strong mental resilience as well. Moving forward, now when we look at the trend transforming life science industry outlook in 2021, it has always been an industry dedicated to protecting and improving human, animal, and natural life. Before we delve into the newest discovery in the life sciences, let us first define what it is. Yes, of course, we know that life science industry is the umbrella term for companies, businesses, and research institutions dedicated to improving organism life. The various life science industry branches may include pharmaceuticals, biotechnology, environmental sciences, biomedicine, so on and so forth. And the aspect of science which has something to do with the research and improvement of human, plant, and animal life can be defined as a subcategory of the life sciences industry. So that is where we are actually heading to. So we are not new to this. Our entire education policy is based upon the SDGs goals. So on 1st January 2016, the 2030 Agenda Sustainable Development Goals adopted by UN, the world leaders in September 2015 officially came into force. This agenda is a set of 17 Sustainable Development Goals with 169 targets, stimulating action to shift the world onto sustainable and resilient path. As one of the most important roadmaps guiding policy actions for sustainable development in the next 15 years, this agenda mobilizes effort to end all forms of poverty, fight inequalities, and tackle climate change while ensuring that no one is left behind. So here we throw light upon SDG 1, 4, 7, and 13. So SDG 1 says no poverty. So in this crisis, the pandemic crisis, we have realized that we have to alleviate the human life condition, for which we need to have quality education for all. And that is where we, like everybody has to have training for using clean energy. And that itself is a remedy to the climate change. So we will be discussing basically on this 4 SDGs and including it in our discussion. Now this slide, which is a documented evidence of the potential of artificial intelligence acting as A on the left hand side, an enabler, or B as an inhibitor on each of the SDGs. You may zoom it on your screen. So the number inside the colored squares represent each of the SDGs. The percentages on the top indicate the proportion of all the targets potentially affected by AI, and the ones in the inner circle of the figure correspond to the proportions within each SDG. The results corresponding to the 3 main groups, namely society, economy, and environment, are also shown in the outer circle of the figure. The results obtained when the type of evidence is taken into account are shown by the inner shaded area and the values in bracket. Although there is no internationally agreed definition of AI, for this study we considered as AI any software technology with at least one of the following capabilities. That is perception, which includes audio, visual, textual, and tactile, that is face recognition. The second is decision making, that is like the example for which is applied in medical diagnosis system. Next is prediction, that is which is applied in weather forecast system. Automatic knowledge extraction and pattern recognition from data, that is discovery of fake news circle in social media. Interactive communication, example is social robots or chatbots. And logical reasoning, that is theory development from premises. This view encompasses a large variety of subfields, including machine learning. Now, may I request Dr. Srinivasan to show all the video?
Yes, ma'am.
Whether clothing, furniture, electronics, vehicles, or buildings, we surround ourselves with objects that we use only for a limited time. The resources which are extracted from planet Earth to make these objects are used once or twice and then dumped. Yet the resources on our planet are non-renewable and finite, except for rainfall, sunlight, biomass, animals, and people. And our global commons have become waste dumps. Within 60 years, we have filled the oceans with millions of low-tech plastic objects and space with thousands of high-tech objects. So, the present industrial economy is not compatible with the natural resources and waste dumps available on planet Earth. More of the same is no business model for success. We need to create higher standards of living from a more intelligent resource use. More from less. I have an idea how to do it. Circularity. It's great. Circularity. That is how nature works. Water, biomass, CO2, seasons. Nature works in cycles, waste-free. Water and land are special cases. Sea level rise and erosion permanently reduce the land surface. And deforestation will diminish rainfall. As a result, droughts and wildfires may become more frequent and vicious circle. For thousands of years, mankind was part of nature, functioning in loops. Use it up, wear it out, make it do and do without was the motto. But this was a circular economy of poverty and scarcity. 200 years ago, the Industrial Revolution uncoupled people from nature. Human ingenuity turned coal and iron into steam engines to replace horses, enabling men to produce enough food and shelter for all and provide faster mobility on land and water. 100 years ago, human ingenuity developed electricity, opening up the vertical dimension in cities and turning night into day. And oil complemented coal as abundant energy supply. Then, chemistry, engineering, and finance opened the floodgates of mass production and turned industrialized countries into societies of abundance, allowing the world population to triple, billions of people to increase their health and quality of life, and democracy to flourish within the last 70 years. This is industrial man's success story. But abundance also led to oversupply, saturated markets, and omnipresent waste. We lost control of our waste dumps because the industrial economy is linear. The industrial economy is like a river. You cannot stop it, or you cause a flood. So the goods that are produced have to be sold, and the goods have to be produced to maintain the income and GDP wealth for nations. Growth in the industrial economy means throughput. It means producing more, whereas in the circular economy, growth can be measured as an increase in quantity and quality of stocks. In other words, the industrial economy is about flows and throughput in a one-way street that ends in a cul-de-sac. It is also about lost liability control. The point of sale, liability for the use of objects and their end-of-life waste, passes from manufacturers to buyers, consumers, to you and me, to society at large. Nobody's liability. The cost will be borne by the taxpayer. Now, the circular industrial economy is applying circularity to the stocks of manufactured objects, cultural and human capital. But this is a circular economy of abundance, not of scarcity. And it is driven by human ingenuity and social innovation, such as repair cafes and neighborhood health, not by sheer necessity. To understand how circular industrial economy works, let us have a look at cars. Imagine that car manufacturers find a way to double the product life of cars. That would reduce by half the number of cars that need to be produced in a saturated market. Would reduce, therefore, resource consumption by half. It would reduce the waste of cars scrapped by half, but it would also reduce the revenue of manufacturers by half.
You know, I'd like to try that.
Car manufacturers now have two options. They can increase the revenue in the use phase, and they can increase the revenue in the fly phase. In the use phase, it means investing in operation and maintenance, whereas before they only invested in manufacturing plants. And in the fly phase, it means getting parts, components back for remanufacturing and reuse in new cars. So closing the loop. But as they are not the owners of the cars, there may be other people who take other options. So therefore, the car manufacturer, if he really wants to exploit the full product life of cars, he has to change his business model from selling cars to selling the utilization of cars. That means he has to retain the ownership of the cars and also internalize the liability for risks and waste. And his interest is now to produce cars that use little maintenance, that are easy to operate, and can be dismantled and components reused easily at the end of a life. It also means that the technology choice is open because electric cars, for example, have a much longer life and need no maintenance. Electric engines last for 100 years, combustion engines 30 years. So it opens completely new opportunities to make bigger profits with less effort. But it means assuming a much higher responsibility for cars as a system and assuming all the liability for free operating a car fleet. Now, let us look at the customers. Customers that want mobility instead of vehicles. Let us call it self-drive taxis. Customers become users with a duty of stewardship, and they profit from flexible access to vehicles and the fixed price per use unit. We have recently seen a proliferation of such.
Dr. Srinivas, I think we can stop the video because time is a constraint, and I think we have got the gist of what is being shown in this particular video. So, in his 1976 research report to the European Commission, Walter Stahel, whom we have seen this in the video, an architect and economist, sketched a vision of an economics in loops or circular economy, which is in contrast to the take, make, waste linear model, is regenerative by design and aims to gradually decouple growth from the consumption of finite resources. Okay, so we have seen majorly the COVID pandemic has affected education, climate, and poverty. Like, of course, education, 50% of students still affected by school closures. Climate, there is a like negative 30% of investment in clean energy transition, and it has pushed the global poverty by it has 135 million people have been affected by 2030. Now, COVID-19 has been showing down progress on clean energy too, at least temporarily by curbing investment and delaying the expansion of clean energy technologies. There has been some positive climate news, that is global energy. Pardon?
Please share the presentation.
Okay. Achha, that is okay. I'm so sorry. Wait a minute. Okay. So are you all able to see? Is it visible, Dr. Srinivasan?
Yes, ma'am. Visible.
Yeah. So COVID-19 has, there has been positive climate news. Global energy related carbon dioxide emission fell by 5.8% in 2020, the largest ever decline in global carbon dioxide emission in history. But that's only a short-term effect of lockdown, not a sustained change. In fact, emissions are expected to rise by 4.8% in 2021, the second highest rate in history, as the demand for coal, oil, and gas rebounds with the economy. So no pandemic is ever just a health issue in isolation, and COVID-19 has emphasized this on the global stage. We need to be looking at it in terms of an economic issue, a livelihood issue, a social issue, and a political issue, as said by Juliet Whitford. And it is just setting us back on decades of progress in tackling global poverty, which is likely to trigger the biggest recession since World War II. Here we are able to see the annual carbon emission around the globe, which is actually surging with every decade. And we are able to see here the increase in carbon dioxide concentration, which has led to global warming, especially after the post-industrial era. So according to one study, like 60% or 70% of greenhouse gas emission is through fuel combustion, and these gases are released as byproduct of certain industrial process, sometimes affecting the ozone layer and leading to global warming. So the need of the hour is to have the zero net carbon, which is also known as the carbon neutral. So we are able to see on the left, we have all the carbon emission natural mechanisms, which is generally triggered by industries, aviation industry, the transport, and so on and so forth. And on the right hand side, we can see that the carbon offsets can be accomplished by clean and renewable energy. On the same line, like a lot of countries, they came across the world and formed the Kyoto Protocol, which was in Japan. And the Kyoto Protocol gave rise to the term or the idea called as carbon banking. So carbon banking is a facility which is given by an organization working in common within the world. It enables different countries for trading carbon. So a target is decided in the meet between various countries, and then the trading takes place. And like, for example, if America scores high in emitting carbon, whereas Japan is below the target, so Japan can purchase carbon emission from America. So the transaction of selling and purchasing carbon emission in order to reduce increasing global warming is known as carbon banking. There are three mechanisms included in it. That one is international emission trading, the other one is clean development mechanism, and the third one is joint implementation project, which can be carried out by two and more countries. So this is included in Article 12 of Kyoto Protocol, and which talks about the clean development mechanism. And here the emission reduction projects in developing countries are allowed to earn certified emission reduction credits, which is equivalent to 1 ton of carbon dioxide. It is an incentive for mitigating the climate change actions. And this tells us what exactly is carbon credit. So carbon credit is a generic term for any tradable certificate or permit representing the right to emit 1 ton of carbon dioxide or the mass of another greenhouse gas with a carbon dioxide equivalent to 1 ton of carbon dioxide. The international emission trading, which also is included in Article 17 of Kyoto Protocol, this is discussing the countries with commitment under the Kyoto Protocol can acquire emission units from other countries, as we have discussed the example of Japan and USA. An international transaction log, a software-based accounting system, ensures secure transfer of emission reduction units between countries. So you can, the picture is clearer here. Like if on the left-hand side, the planet-saving superhero is you. It can be either an individual or a company. And we can purchase carbon credits from a carbon agency, let's say the International Carbon Bank, and we get carbon credits for that. At the same time, there are forest and state agencies which, through their forest management procedures, they earn carbon credits, and then they get sources of accredited carbon credits from the agency. So this actually includes the carbon sequestration procedure, which can be defined as the capture and secure storage of carbon. This encompasses two ideas: prevention, reduction of carbon and emission produced by human activities for reaching the atmosphere by capturing and diverting them to secure storage. And second is removal of carbon from the atmosphere by various means and securely storing it. Again, we have already discussed. So this is another example, which is ICBI, is the International Carbon Bank and Exchange, which actually is a service provider with experience in IT, academia, consulting, verification, certification, project development. And they also give consultancy. It acts like a bank, which give assistance to it gives consultancy to the clients regarding climate safe and carbon exchange policies. So this way, what we see now this again brings us to the circular economy. So if we want to offset the carbon, which we have already, the carbon emission, which we have created since decades, we now have to take robust measures. And that is why now today we are talking about this circular economy. Now, circular economy is like at the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, they have tried to capture the essence of circular economy, which I'll later further tell you in detail, especially showing the butterfly diagram. Here, we are talking about how in circular economy, we can build and rebuild overall system health. The concept recognizes the importance of economy leading to work effectively at all scales for big and small business, for organization and individuals globally and locally. And it is based on three principles. First is design out waste and pollution. Second is keep products and material in use. And third is the regenerate natural system. So the first is design out waste and pollution. So in this perspective, we do not consider any waste as waste. We look at waste as wealth. So from which we can derive clean energy, or maybe some other application also we can look into. Next is keep products and material in use. So in this way, we are not going to exhaust the primary raw resources of the ecosystem. And we can keep refurbishing and recycle the materials we used. So this way we will be able to reduce the exhaustion of the primary resources. And third is regenerating natural system. So what if we could not only protect but actively improve the environment? And that is where the alternative and the renewable energy comes into picture. So this particular diagram which you see is nicknamed as the butterfly diagram. Now the diagram tries to capture the flow of materials, nutrients, components, and products while adding an element of financial value. So it builds on several schools of thought, but it is perhaps recognizably influenced by cradle to cradle two material cycle. One is biological, that is on the left hand side, and the technical on the right hand side. So we are able to see biological and technical material flow. The first thing that most people notice about the diagram is the separation into two distinct halves or cycles, which represent two fundamentally distinct flow of material. One is biological and the other one is technical. Biological material is represented in green cycles, and by which the materials can safely re-enter the natural world once they have gone through one or more use cycles, where they will biodegrade over time, returning the embedded nutrients to the environment. And in case of technical materials, which is represented in blue on the right hand side, cannot re-enter the environment, but these materials such as metal, plastic and synthetic chemicals must continuously cycle through the system so that their value can be captured and recaptured. So basically, we see these benefits out of the circular economy, economic growth, material cost saving, job creation potential, and innovation. And from the environmental point of view, we also able to see the carbon dioxide emission, reduction of carbon dioxide emission or regulation of it, and primary metal consumption, and land productivity and soil health. Because we are not dumping the solid waste here. We are trying to reuse the materials being used once. Now here you are able to see the school of thought, which brings us to this particular concept called as cradle to cradle. This design takes inspiration from natural system where there is no concept of waste. Everything is a resource for something else. Biological nutrients should be safely returned to the soil, while technical nutrients should be used again and again at high quality. The second principle is to clean and renewable energy. The argument goes that natural systems thrive on current, solar income, and human system could too. Renewable energy is clean. So this way we are able to see these principles. Okay. And finally, we also see that we need to celebrate diversity. So diversity builds resilience in natural system and can do so in human system too. Equally, no two places are the same. A diverse approach is often necessary to overcome the challenges and meet the opportunities offered by different geography. We are also inspired by a different concept called as biomimicry, which is innovation inspired by nature. And like we generally see that the innovations which inspired by nature it can be defined as a new discipline that studies nature's best ideas and then imitates the designs and process to solve human problems. So now moving from vision to reality, if we see the industrial ecology, we are shifting to a system where we regenerate natural system, design out waste and pollution, and keep products and materials in use. This brings us to 10 types of innovation, which is self-explanatory. So I will not get into this explaining this. And this is the industrial ecology, which is a very holistic view, which we have already talked before. We are very sure that there are dark days ahead, but we can change our destiny. And that brings us to the solution, that is biomass, which is an incredibly versatile substance able to produce energy through being burned directly, converted into liquid biofuels, or harvested as a gas from landfills or anaerobic digesters. Its source of energy comes from the sun and as a plant matter, can be regrown, and that is why it is renewable. That is why it is called as renewable. And we see the different sources. It can the crop waste, forest residues, purpose grown grasses, woody energy crops, microalgae, urban wood waste and food waste, and urban wood waste and food waste. But in case of India, we will definitely focus upon the second generation biomasses, because we cannot afford to use our large acres of land in growing energy crops. Because we have to secure the food for everyone, another sustainable developmental goal. So these are the different bioenergy conversion technologies: the direct combustion process, the thermochemical process, pyrolysis, carbonization, gasification, catalytic liquefaction, anaerobic fermentation, methanol production in landfills, ethanol fermentation, biodiesel. As I am, I'm focusing the entire topic in general. So right now I'm not getting into the detail of every conversion technology, but I'll show you. I'll take you through some slides. So bioenergy is energy derived from biomass and biogas sources, as we see this in the slide. They are of three groups. One can be based on the field crop and the agricultural residues. The other one is the municipal solid waste, which includes animal dung, excreta, etc. And biomass can also be converted into liquid fuels. So here we see the biogas, that the second group, the biomass is fermented anaerobically to obtain gaseous fuel like biogas. which can also be termed as biomethanation, which is the anaerobic digestion of organic material, which is converted into biogas. And this is a bacterial fermentation process that operates without free oxygen and results in biogas containing mostly methane, carbon dioxide, and other gases. It has dual benefits, and it gives biogas as well as manure as end products. We also have now tried to generate electricity out of biogases and then give it to the grid. It is happening even in Chhattisgarh. So this is the naturally occurring bacteria, which I have already explained before. So we'll go ahead. In the third group, biomass is converted into ethanol and methanol to use in liquid fuels and engines, which can be used as a blend. Okay. So the bioconversion process, as already discussed, direct combustion, thermochemical conversion, and biochemical conversion. Direct combustion can also be known as incineration. And this is how electricity is produced by direct combustion, by directly generating heat energy, which can then be used to move the steam turbine and then generate electricity and then transfer to the grid. Thermochemical conversion, this process converts the biomass and its residue to fuel, chemicals, and power using gasification. Heating of biomass with about 1/3 of oxygen is necessary for complete combustion, which produce mixture of carbon dioxide and hydrogen gas known as the syngas. Okay, so we have two products from it. One is the liquid pyrolysis oil and the other one is the syngas, which both can be used to produce biodiesel. So this way we are able to see the biomass, three routes. One is gasification, by which we can produce syngas and hydrogen, is a mixture of hydrogen and carbon monoxide. Through pyrolysis, we are able to convert the bio oil and biochar into liquid fuels and soil amendments, that is soil fuel. And through microbial hydrolysis, we are able to convert sugar and lignin into ethanol, which can be used as blend. Yes, I've already we have already touched this thing. The biochemical conversion can take place by biofermentation. And this is again is the conversion. Biochemical conversion takes place in two phases. One in the first phase, liquefaction takes place. That is from the solid waste, liquefaction takes place. And in the second phase, gasification takes place. So application of biomass, it can be used to generate electricity. The producer gas from biomass gasifier is first cleaned and cooled and then used as a fuel and in an IC engine. Biomass gasifier plants in an industry or an institute are used as captive power generating plant. Not just in India, but in whole of Chhattisgarh, we have a lot of captive power plant, and the gasifiers are used extensively here in Chhattisgarh. So this way we are able to generate clean energy. Okay, these are the different biomass conversion routes. And finally, the biogas, which I have already discussed in the beginning. Biogas, or very commonly known as gobar gas. This is the biogas plant. This is the fixed type biogas plant. We also have the movable one. So we need, with our reliance on burning wood for biomass has called its renewable status into question. And that is where we have to focus upon the near future. How the methodologies are the methodologies which are we using, the technologies which we are using to reduce the carbon emission and to generate electricity out of biomass. Whether in fact they are actually reducing the carbon emission or they are generating more. So that is where we have to work upon. Okay, so these are the different biomass gasifiers which are extensively used in Chhattisgarh. You can see the gasifiers which is used in Bilaspur. Then there is one Cosmo Power Tech Private Limited, and biomass gasifier stove that is also used in Raipur. This is the schematic diagram of the gasifiers used. Up draft gasifier and downward gasifier. These are the two gasifiers. Again, you can have a better view here. Okay, so syngas is produced. these are a few projects of Chhattisgarh. So this is a 20 megawatt biomass power project in Chhattisgarh, which is known as the Godavari Power and Ispat Limited, which has installed a 20 megawatt biomass based power project, which generates electricity using rice husk. Now, Chhattisgarh is known as the rice bowl of the country. So we have a lot of waste, agriculture waste, and that was initially or previously carelessly burnt. Now there is a regulation on that activity, and the Chhattisgarh state is making a lot of effort in this field. So by using this renewable fuel, this project reduces local waste while reducing emission by replacing fossil fuel intensive based power generation. We are now soon going to have the first ethanol plant in the state, which is one of its kind, which is built under the public-private partnership model. The state government had framed the plan to set up an ethanol plant under PPP model in September 2020. This is still under, the final thing has to be installed. This has a tender of 5.27 crore per annum. This will be having capacity of 40 kiloliters per day, and this plant is planned to be completed within 1.5 to 2 years to start ethanol production. It will ensure timely payment of sugarcane price to farmers and ensuring full utilization of sugar factory capacity. It will also generate direct and indirect opportunities in the region. Import substitution. It will cut oil imports. At least reduce, can't say completely cut. This will provide a permanent solution to the economic hardship of sugar factories. And this which the state will contribute towards the production of biofuels in the country. So this is a RESRA project. RESRA is the renewable energy, the rural, the state's rural energy agency, which this project we are able to see how biogas can be produced, and there are a lot of villages in Korba district which still they are not getting enough electricity. So there, through this procedure, they are able to they are generating employment, they are training the people from the same place, and they are because it is stationary, the biomass is stationary, so they are able to provide the generating the bioenergy there itself. So this way, there is a capacity building for the rural community as well. Okay, these are two of our students, I can say researchers from our department. They have done extensive work on biomass. So they using this bomb calorimeter, they have been able to analyze the calorific value, the combustion characteristic of different biomass resources. So this is one of the papers from which I have showing you this data. You're able to see the calorific value of different animal excreta. And if you go through this data, like lion's excreta has the maximum calorific value in which is measured in terms of kilocalorie per kg, and it is analyzed through this bomb calorimeter. Okay, and there are a lot of zoos and sanctuaries here, so the students have been able to procure it from the different places. Here you are able to see the different algal species, and algae, though having very less, you can say the moisture content is less when you dry it, and the bulk density is less, but the calorific value is very high. So this is another potential of the resources of this place. This is, I think you have to zoom it to see there are different plants from different trees from this state, which the biomass, the calorific value has been detected by the bomb calorimeter. And bamboo, and then there is ramphal, then there is tendu, which is a very local tree. They have the maximum calorific value. So the data is robust. I have just shared few things here, and these are again the algal, and there is again sewage. The municipal solid waste also have also have been detected for their calorific value. Okay, so this is a snapshot of low carbon system, which is a helpful source for all of us. So the future of energy really lies in abundance, as we have also seen in this video. So everything what we have is in the nature itself. How we manage it, that is important. We are able to see the biopotential of a country, which is very high. So we have to really collaborate, and the data is so there are some key takeaway points from this particular presentation. So the changes brought about by these innovations remind us that technology is the vital enabler of life science development. Industry leaders will greatly benefit from pushing its frontier forward. It's crucial that organizations in the industry are proactive and prepared. Learning from the disorientation of new challenges, leaders have an opportunity to establish better crisis response, uphold higher standards, and actively pursue opportunities that continuously improve the future-proof business practices moving forward. Life science companies must remember that challenges can be overcome and even turned into opportunities. With the right strategic technologies, many triumphs await life science. And talking about our state, we have seen that when there are so many manufacturers also biogasifiers, there is a bioethanol plant coming up, so we have tried to bridge that gap by undertaking a lot of research work in our departments on renewable energy. So these are the few prime questions which we all have to ask ourselves. Okay, I think few slides. For some, there has been some error. There have been a slide of references, and the final slide was for the acknowledgement. My thanks to Rathinam College of Arts and Science, the faculty, the researcher, and the students of your institute, and of course the organizers, the HOD of Microbiology Department, Dr. Srinivasan, and the principal, and of course I also thanks and extend my gratitude to my host institute, which has spared me today and should reschedule my timetable for today. So thank you so much for this presentation, for giving me this patient hearing.
Thank you so much, Anna, for that elaborate presentation on various aspects of innovative methods, having a green environment, starting from circular economy and renewable, utilizing efficient use of renewable energy, and the alternative methods of using energy sources. So thank you for that in-depth presentation. Participants, if you have any queries, please communicate with our guests now. You can ask a few questions on the theme that has been discussed.
Like if anyone can share how we all are doing our best in our respective fields, just we need to change our perspective. We can't just race and just learn technologies, and we have to make the technology meaningful for whatever we are doing at the ground, at the grassroots level. Because whatever we are handling, especially when we are handling microbes, we are definitely handling it at the natural ecosystem level. So may I know if anybody can share how they have worked on this circular economy, or if anybody can share anything, so that would be really interesting. I would like to know.
Well, I would like to add up to the presentation, ma'am, that we right now in the city where I reside, Coimbatore, we come under the smart city scheme, and most of the energy technologies that have been devised so far has been revamped, and almost all streets in our city has been converted into LED lamps, and now they have projects of building biogas plant as well. But I do not know when it would be commissioned and will be started. But there is an inclusive plan for starting a biogas plant for every city, and they have planned it to devise it for ward basis. On what each ward will have a separate biogas plant, so that they can become energy sufficient and utilization. That's one update from the southern part of India.
So that's wonderful. That's really wonderful. Great to know. And I think this is the time when we can actually collaborate. Like, as I told you that we have done extensive work on the data. Like the data we have generated is really robust. So we can actually go across the geographical region, collaborate. Anybody can come to our state with their technology, and you can use the resources here, because we have already collected the primary data on the biomasses. Okay, thank you so much for the patient hearing. If any question, I can answer, but otherwise.
I believe the participants don't have any questions as of now, but hopefully I will give you an email, share your email to them so that they can communicate in case if they have any interests and ideas to be shared with you on the basis of renewable energy. So with that, once again, I thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful presentation. Now I request Mrs. S. Violet Beulah, Assistant Professor of Department, to deliver the vote of thanks. Ma'am, please.
Sir, may I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're clear.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to all. It is such an honor for me to get the opportunity to thank you all dignitaries on behalf of Microbiology Department, Ratnam College of Arts and Science. I extend my gratitude to our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Alka Panda, guest lecturer and MHRD certified RBPT teacher for STEM, Institute of Renewable Energy Technology and Management, School of Studies in Environmental Science, Ravishankar Shukla University, Raipur, to take a time from her busy schedule to grace the event. Thank you, ma'am, for your inspiring and encouraging words on this special day. A special thanks to our principal, Dr. Muralidharan, and our CEO and Secretary, Dr. Manikam, for their immense support to make this seminar successful. I extend my gratitude to Dr. Srinivasan, HOD, Department of Microbiology, to organize a national level seminar even amidst the pandemic. I must thank the HODs, staff members, colleagues, and the students for their active participation. Thank you, everyone, once again for making it as a grand success. Thank you all.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. So maybe conclude, like, may I leave? Dr. Srinivasan?
Thank you, ma'am. I was lost with the network for a few minutes.
Okay, no.
Anyway, thank you, Violet ma'am. Thank you, Alka ma'am, so much for being here with us today. Your lecture was really inspiring, and we look forward to collaborate in the future for research projects as well. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to interact with all of you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And I also thank all the participants for patiently listening. Hopefully, most of you are students, and I believe that you can have this idea in your thought, and you can establish your research projects, your undergraduate projects. Mini projects can be conceived, and you can start your mini projects based on this theme and continue doing your work, saving the environment. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Participants, the feedback link needs to be posted by tomorrow, not